You are now listening to the voice of horror.
Lock your doors, bolt your windows, and turn off the lights. Make sure the kids are safe at home, because you're headed to the Nightwatch zone.
You think it's over now? You're wrong.
All aboard the night train.
It's over, Prime.
This is the siege.
I'm a man of my word.
Hey. Yeah. Dead or alive, consider this home. No killing the vibe in the Nightwatch zone. Xenomorphs hype when the lights come on. Hit a like and subscribe and the show might blow. Go viral, no COVID, it's a spiral. Emotions, hand on the Bible. Only go sign on the dopest your vitals. Better tune in, yeah, you know it's vital. From Schwarzenegger to Kane Hodder, Corey G down to Harry Potter. Shit's Sigourney Weaver, love the Nightwatch zone. Come with me to the Nightwatch zone.
There are two things a man should never run from, even if they cost him his life.
Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. We have made it. We're here, even though it's hot as hell outside. I'm here with Christian from Planet CHH. And just to start this thing off, for you guys in the live chat, you guys know how this is going to go. It's been really fun to be able to talk to some of the really experienced YouTubers out there. And Christian, I've followed his content, his channel for about 2 years, a little bit more than 2 years actually. Once I had started my channel, yours just always popped up in my feed, man. And I was just like, let me just check this out. And your knowledge of horror and also your love for physical media. And, I always look forward to when you're putting out content, especially when you're saying these are the things you have to have in your collection. And I'm like, all right, let me listen to what you're saying. And, for me anyways, it's a lot of things that I feel the same way about, and I'm like, it really speaks to me. So number one, man, thank you so much for coming here, hang out with us for a few minutes tonight. I really appreciate it. And I know the community does too, man. Seriously.
It's my pleasure. I'm so happy you asked me because I saw that you just had Pizzal, who inspired me, and Drum Dums, who's a really good guy and good friend as well. So I feel like I'm in good company. Yeah,
man. I mean, I think it just kind of it worked this way. When I reached out to you, and I know you've got a really busy schedule, but I was thinking, the thing about Christian, because I really just enjoy your take, and your style, how you present things, and you're just so like laid back. And that really speaks to me. Like you tell it how it is, bro. And I really appreciate it.
I'm like the dude where's my car of YouTube.
It's true, man. But I think it's so cool, man, because it's down to earth. And when I'm watching like you and Nick, like there's so many times because I have long drives, to work and stuff like that. And I'll just put you guys on, whenever I get a chance. And it's truly like a type of conversation that I would have with friends. And
Right.
So I just want to let you know, at least from my perspective, I think number one, well, both of you guys, but specifically for you, I think it's a great way to really connect to everybody. You feel like, hey man, this is a type of guy I could talk to if I met him on the street and I feel comfortable with him. So anyways, man, kudos to you.
Cheers, man. Thank you very much for the kind words.
Yeah, man. No problem at all. Real quick, let me just say hi to the folks we have in the chat. And I know these guys will probably be throwing some questions at you. I've got a couple too. And yeah, this is going to be fun, man. Joseph, what's going on? Good to see you. He, she in the chat. My man Sunrise in the chat saying, awesome. Never heard of the guy, but if Knight approves, then I do as well. You're damn right. You're damn right. And speaking of which, and I know Val is in the chat. Val, the general, our moderator, she'll definitely be putting Christian's link in the live chat. So if
Thank
you
you.
guys have not subscribed to Planet CHH, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are, but if you haven't, please click that link, subscribe to him. You will not be sorry. All right. Polar, what's going on? Good to see you, Polar. And Ben, K's in the chat. Return of the Disc. I love that name. That's that's
Great
awesome, man.
Great name.
Yeah. Nuclear fusions and hello all. Hello CHH. Very cool. Very cool. Kyle's in the chat. Dice Roland's in the chat. What's up, Dice? Good to see you. Let's see. Val saying, thank you for joining us tonight, Planet CHH.
My
Awesome,
pleasure.
awesome.
My pleasure.
Very, very cool. Original Fuzz, what's up, bro? Saying, what's up, Night and CHH? Love both your channels. Looking forward to the stream. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. What's up, Troy, Denisha, and Elm Street's Last Brat? Love it. Love it. Every time I say his name. Hey, Gina, what's going on? And there's the link for Christian's channel in the chat. And Val, she'll put that up probably again, I'm sure. And so just make sure you guys support Christian because, like I said, he's awesome. So he's thinking, stop it, dude. So let's just get the stupid questions out of the way because I'm sure you've answered these 1,000 times. I do know a lot of your story because, like I said, I've followed you. But for these guys that may not,
sure,
and maybe some details that I don't know, how would you say that your fandom for horror started, and then your decision to get onto YouTube? I mean, obviously, I know that you give Piz a lot of credit for inspiration, but besides him, were there any other folks that you looked to when you had first started as well?
So getting into it, it's not typical. I have not been a lifelong horror fan. That doesn't mean I never saw stuff when I was little. I vividly remember watching, the double VHS of It as a kid.
Yes.
And Child's Play, but like I wasn't a conscious, oh my God, I need to see more horror films as a kid. So I never claimed to be a horror fan as a kid. Senior year of high school, my brother was like, Christian, you want to go to Spirit Halloween? It's like these big, crazy Halloween stores. And I was like, yeah, let's go. I knew what it was. I had been going for a few years already. But for some reason, when I went this time, I was just enamored by all the properties. I was like, you know what? Why have I not watched Friday the 13th one or however many they have? I didn't even know how many there were. Same thing with Elm Street. And I'm like, of course I know who these characters are, but I've never seen these movies. At least I don't think I have. Right. And so the next day, my mom, it was morning time. We were all eating breakfast. My mom worked right next to a Blockbuster. And I said, Mom, do me a favor. Can you grab a Nightmare on Elm Street or something like from Blockbuster on your way home? She's like, that's fun. That's fun. She comes home. She says, I'm sorry, they didn't have the first one. They had 2. Is that fine? I said, I don't care. I'll watch 2. And when I say that movie scared the shit out of me, I mean, when I saw Jesse have Freddy burst out of him, I was silent. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I fell in love with it. And so I had a little part-time job I had, and I was like, my love for physical media and horror kind of started together. Because I was like, I've got to own that movie. So I would just go to FYE.
Yes.
Or Sam Goody. I had a Sam Goody at the time.
Yep.
And I would go get these movies. I would buy them once a week or whatever. And so I did that and literally started doing that with Nightmare, then Friday, then Halloween. And then it snowballed.
Yeah.
So that was around 2009, 2010. Around 2012, I was like, let me go on YouTube and just type in Friday the 13th stuff. Just looking for what happened was, I remember exactly what happened now. I've never said this, but it's a tiny detail, but I'm remembering this. I had just gotten a smartphone at the time, and I wanted to see if they had Friday the 13th documentaries on YouTube. And sure enough, somebody was uploading those little Crystal Lake Diary things from one of the DVD box sets, those snippets on YouTube. And I was watching it, and then I saw Friday the 13th collection. And it was a channel called Piz Owl. And so I watched it, and it was just this country boy voice showing his movies and talking about how much he loved the movies. And I was like, what part of YouTube did I just discover? Yeah. And so I started watching a lot of Piz's videos. And you asked if there were other people that inspired me. The truth is, no, it just took him for me to say, I want to do this. after I kind of got started, I met a few people. I would comment on other videos and meet.
Right.
But Piz was seriously the one guy that I was like, I want to just do what he's doing.
Very
So
cool.
the truth is, no, he was the only guy to really be. I saw his videos. I was like, I want to do this too. I don't care if this is like nobody's gonna watch it, because at the time, uploading to YouTube was just gratifying enough. Like, oh my god, my
Right.
video's on a website. Who cares if it gets a view or not? So that's how it's. That's the story. That's how it started.
Nice. That's awesome, man. Yeah, Piz, he has that type of demeanor. The first time I saw his stuff, it was a Friday the 13th video as well. I think it was when he was ranking them, if I'm not mistaken. But and I remember just watching him, like, man, this guy, he's kind of chill, you
He's
know,
chill.
and you couldn't help. I mean, and obviously you had the same effect on you. You couldn't help but like the guy. You don't even friggin' know him, you know, but he just seems so laid back. He's knowledgeable. And it's like, you know, again, and again, you have those qualities too, just a laid back, down to earth type of person. You're not uppity. You're not talking down to your viewers. And so it's very similar as far as Piz. And Elm Street 2 was my first Elm Street as well, man. And yes,
Incredible.
when Jesse got messed up and Freddy was coming out of him, I was like, what is going on? You know, I was a kid at the time, but yeah, it's crazy. I still enjoy Elm Street 2 so much. And I know you're a big fan of Elm Street 2, which I'm sure we'll talk about as well.
Sure.
Yeah, real quick too, in the chat, Jamie's in the chat. What's up, Jamie?
Hey, Jamie.
What's up, Christian? What's going on, Jamie? Denisha, thank you for putting Christian's link in the chat. You guys are amazing. Seriously, you guys are all right. Danielle, what's going on? Saying hola. What's going on? Good to see you. Good to see you. Jamie says, Piz has influenced so many, including me. I wouldn't be here if he didn't give me a chance in this community. Yeah, Piz is all right. He is all right. He truly is.
He felt like
cool.
he felt like an older brother watching his videos, because I get animated and worked up, but for the most part, I don't really like raising my voice. Nick's usually like the louder, more, and that's his personality. He's a little bit more brash, and I'm just like, I'm very, especially when I talk to people that are more louder and stuff, it makes me even more reserved and chill. Because I like that, you know. But so I felt a kinship to his videos too, because he was just, you know, low frequency.
Yeah,
you know.
Yep. He's the man. He is the man. Now, how about let's, you know, so we've got your journey, how it started. One thing that I myself had always wanted to maybe pick your brain about is when you did your rebranding of your channel a little bit. And just that process. And it was interesting because in talking to Piz and Lee, they kind of said similar things about how YouTube has changed over the years, which I'm sure all of us as content creators know, and how they kind of dealt with those changes, you know, and they've done different, you know, they've approached it different ways. But when you rebranded and you weren't just Christian Hanna Horror, I was thinking, wow, this is really interesting. And you kind of opened up the gates a little bit more on the stuff you wanted to do. And of course, any of these questions, you don't, if you'd rather not answer them, feel free to let me know. But if you could give me a little insight on that, because I'm gonna tell you what, bro, when I first saw that, you know how it is when you see the thumbnail and you see, you don't have any context. I was like, what's going on? He's not doing Christian Hanna Horror anymore. And then of course, you know, I watched the video and of course everything's okay. But what brought you to that place, if you were to explain, you know, why you rebranded and how it's been going for you since?
I'll give it to you, and I'll give you the dead honest answer. No fluff, the truth. So I love horror. It's a gigantic part of my life, but it's not the only part of my life. I have a passionate love for Jean-Claude Van Damme movies like Lionheart and Bloodsport and Death Warrant. I love Sylvester Stallone. He saved my life on a number of occasions. Got me through a lot of teenage angst, if you will, you know? I love Ninja Turtles. I love retro video games. I love all kinds of stuff. I was just watching dinosaurs before doing this show. Okay. The TV show, you know? So like I have a passion for a lot of different stuff, especially like Michael J. Fox. I've seen every movie that that little bastard has done.
He's awesome, man.
I love that. I love that kind of stuff. I'm a vinyl record collector. So this is what happened. This is the truth. Around 2018, I went through the same kind of emotional, and this is first world problems, people. I understand that, but I went through this thing of like telling my wife we weren't married. Yeah, we were married. We were married at the time. We got married like a year ago, and I was, my YouTube channel kind of started around the same time I started dating my wife, and I was telling Sydney, I was like, like I understand, like I'm Christian Hanna Horror, and that's how people know me.
Right.
And then people start calling me CHH. That's what it turned into, which I like that. I think it's got a cool little ring to it. And I was like, you know what if I just want to do a video where I talk about like, the Rocky films, or if I want to talk about the 4K of Flashdance that came out. Granted, this hadn't come out for years, just recently came out. But I was like, I'm gonna do a video sitting. I'm gonna ask my audience what they think. That was my biggest mistake, because the truth is, and I'm not upset about it. This is what happened. I did this video where I was like, hey guys, I just want to kind of ask you guys what you think if I, change the name of the channel to Christian Hanna, just my name, and I'll still do my thing. I love horror. It's never going anywhere. But what if every now and again I want to talk about, Mel Gibson movies or something or whatever? And a lot of people told me, not really interested in that.
Right.
Not interested in it. I did it. I changed. Now, granted, what I did was I changed my channel name just to Christian Hanna as I uploaded that video. But the reception was not good.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that people were mean about it. They were just like, hey man, do your thing, but I'm really just interested in your horror content. That's what you're good at. That's what I think you're good at. And I get that. So I was really devastated, to be honest with you. I changed it back to Christian Hanna Horror maybe a day or so later. And I was like, just suck it up, Christian. And it just is what it is. You dug that hole for yourself.
Yeah.
That was 2018. So I'm trucking along, doing my thing. And a year ago, I'm going through the same thing again. But when I say it's 3 or 4 times as bad, I mean, I'm reeling. And I was pacing one day. She's like, what's wrong, Christian? I was like, Sydney, I think I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. She's like, do what? I said, I can't do this every day. I'm trying to make horror content. How many times can I talk about, I don't know, the Conjuring films or Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street? I love this stuff, City, but I'm going to blow my brains out. She's like, just talk about something else. And I was like, I know, but I told her the story, but what happened? And she was like, well, Christian, like, figure something else out fun and just tell your audience what you're going to do. Stop asking for permission. It's your channel. And I was like, that clicked with me. Don't ask for permission. So this is what happened. I was like, okay, I didn't think about this all the way, but I was like, let me create a new branding for myself that's still in the vein of who I am, because I don't want it to be too drastic. If I do too drastic, people are going to be like, what is this? And then boom, I'm done. I'm roasted. So I was like, what can I do to kind of encompass more things? I was like, well, and for some reason, I just bought like a vintage 90s Planet Hollywood denim jacket. I just bought it because when I was a kid, I used to go to Planet Hollywood in Florida. We used to go eat there. And it would be so funny because I remember as a kid seeing the nameplates that were totally incorrect for some of the movies. Like there was clearly a Rise of the Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines leather jacket, but it was marketed as Terminator 2. And I was like, I know that's not from Terminator. Like it's so funny, but I just tell my wife, I was like, I always loved Planet Hollywood. She goes, well, incorporate that, make that your channel. And I was like, oh, Planet CHH. And some people have no idea because I guess they're too young, even though they still kind of exist. Like Planet Hollywood, they shut them all down. But some people have no idea what that means. I was like, no, it's Planet Hollywood. It's a play. It's the same logo as Planet. And then they'll be, oh. And then I made a video and I said, I this is what I have to do, guys. It'd be so much more. And you know what the crazy thing is? I don't actively do a whole lot of non-horror stuff now, but I have the freedom. I have the knowing. So when Vacation came out on 4K, good God, I couldn't get to Best Buy fast enough. And I reviewed it and I was so happy. And it just was so now what I do now to really make things balanced well is I do a show with my buddy Brandon called Planet Dirty, because I called him Dirty Money as a joke, and the audience, all they did was call him Dirty Money. I just make stuff up, but the audience will grab it. So then it turned into Planet Dirty. It's a live show we do where we watch 80s TV commercials, or we talk about Mighty Max toys, or we talk about Parenthood, the movie with Steve Martin.
Steve
So
Martin.
thankfully it worked itself out to where Planet CHH, people kind of get like, they know what the channel's about now. I'm still CHH. I'm still Christian Hanna Horror. This is very long-winded. I apologize, but
No, not at all. This is what I want.
you know, so it all worked out. Life worked itself out. It was the right thing for me to do. And if I would not have done it, and if I wouldn't have had to talk with my wife, where she was like, stop asking for permission on what you can do on your channel, just
Right.
do it. If I would have had that conversation, I would have stopped. I was this close to literally stopping. Like, no, I didn't want to be on YouTube at all anymore, because I really was going nuts, because I truly don't see how I could have done it. I don't say you as you, or I'm just being in general, but like, I totally don't see how I could have done it. Nobody just watches horror movies. I don't care who you are.
That's right. It's true. It's true, man.
So
true.
After doing YouTube for, at that point, 12 years, I said, I've got to open the gates a little bit.
Yeah.
But then I figured this out. If I just talk about a Mel Gibson film, nobody cares. That's the harsh reality. But I'm a physical media person. If I talk about the disc of the movie, I got them.
Yeah.
So then I had to figure out, I had to figure that out, a little bit of trial and error, but I figured it out, and I'm totally happy with the way the channel's going now. I couldn't be happier. There's no end in sight.
Yeah.
So that's my story of how I've got to Planet CHH where I am today.
Yeah, man. Well, let me just say, as someone from way on the outside, just as a viewer, when I saw you make that transition, and I think at that point, I don't know, maybe I had been doing YouTube for about a year, if that, maybe, I don't even know. But I was like, yeah, man, because I love action. A lot of these guys have been around. They know I love action. I love sci-fi. We've talked things like Terminator, John Wick, of course, Sly, Rambo. I grew up on Sly, grew up on Van Damme. I'm huge into martial arts. I teach martial arts. So I've incorporated that into my stuff. But when I saw you talk about it, and I could feel the seriousness of the situation, how you wanted to, bring your viewers along with you, and hoping that they were going to be open-minded enough, it really spoke to me, man. And I can honestly say it was something that encouraged me to say, okay, yeah, horror is my favorite genre, but action is like right there as well, man. I mean, in other words, it really was helpful to me too, as a very young YouTuber, because I was like, well, man, if Christian's going to do it, then it's okay, it's all right. And of course, now looking at how you, like you said, also incorporating the physical media side in it, I think it's awesome, man, because you have that spectrum that you work within. And you're right, nobody only watches horror.
I don't care who you are.
They don't, man. It's funny though, because you're right, because you want to obviously work within what viewers are interested in, but you got to keep yourself sane, bro. You got to have fun.
What killed me too is during this time, 2018, since I started YouTube, I don't just collect horror physical media either.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget. And finally, I did a video on it, and people liked it. It was great. I'll never forget 2019, 2020, I got the Lionsgate Steelbook. It's this beautiful metal box of the Rambo 4 movies on 4K.
Yeah.
And I said, I can't do a video on this. I just want to talk about this. This thing is beautiful. And I couldn't do a video on it at the time. Once I rebranded, I was like, screw this. I'm doing a beautiful video. And I had a blast, and people were like, dude, you bought that? That thing's so expensive now. It's so out of print. I was like, yes, I bought it when it came out. But I felt like I couldn't talk about it. But it's the freedom. It's not necessarily that I need to talk about the Flintstones from 90. Like, it's not that I need to, but I've got the freedom. That's the key. I know I've got that freedom. So that's the key.
Yeah, that's the best point of it all. Like you said, it's not that you have to, but if you want to, you can. That is and there's a lot of content creators that are here. I know there's a lot of content creators that'll watch this, and some of our folks in the community are newer to content creating too. And this is like gold right here, because I think a lot of us, myself included at one point, you do get into this bubble and you feel like you're a friggin' prisoner,
You
you
are.
know, but you have to be happy doing what you want to do, man. It's so,
Yeah.
so true. Some of these guys in the chat definitely agree here. Let's see. I think it was, yeah, Danielle saying, you got to do what makes you happy, CHH. It's nice that others like it too as well, though. Yeah.
The physical media is the beauty, because even though it becomes more and more niche, insane, and it's a giant niche still. They
Yeah,
love it,
it
and
is.
it's not going anywhere. And that was the other thing I wanted to add. It's not like I had to redo a part of my life that was going to cost me a different kind of money, like new money that I have to spend. Okay, let me, if I have to rebrand, let me start buying, I don't know, Funko Pops. I don't really buy those. Like, no,
Right.
I've actively I buy Planes, Trains, and Automobiles on 4K when it comes out. But I can't talk about it. I buy the Rambo films when it comes out. I bought Last Action Hero which is my favorite auto movie. I bought this. I can talk about it now, and even if I don't want to, I don't have to. But I've got the freedom. That really is the thing I want to take away for people to know. If you do a channel, if you start a channel, do not box yourself in that tight, because I don't want anybody, again, first world problems, but I don't want anybody to feel trapped like I did, to where I literally was this close to stopping, boxing my cameras, my mics up, just putting it away, get the computer out of here. I was done. I was done.
Wow, man.
So,
I truly did not know that, man. I mean, as far as the severity of it. So thank you so much for sharing that, because that's really personal, man. I really appreciate you sharing that with us all. Seriously.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you kept going, man. Very, very glad. RMJ, what's up, man? Saying, Christian, I never knew you loved Van Damme and Seagal films. Christian always has had a Rocky spirit in him. He's a beast.
Yeah. Thank you. Monty, appreciate it, man.
Jamie saying, Christian is humble, doesn't realize that it's not just his choices, but his charisma and energy, likable, relatable, leads to success. It's true.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you very much.
It's very, very true. Yep. Action and horror, the best genres. They're my favorites, man.
I agree.
But I like comedies too. Especially the old school stuff.
Sure.
Let's see. Val saying, I love when channels talk about all kinds of movies, music, and such.
Right.
Yeah. Very, very true, man. Overlook in the house. What's up, Overlook? Saying, 2 of my favorites doing a live stream. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. Sunrise saying, I just subbed to his channel. Thank you, Sunrise.
Thank you.
You will not be disappointed. All right. And Barb became a channel member. All right, Barb. Hey, thank you so much for the support. That's absolutely amazing. You guys, jeez, you guys are awesome, man. Seriously. Very, very cool. Now let's get into a couple more things here too. Now, as far as for you and Nick doing Unita, first of all, I love that, man, because I love Return of the Living Dead.
Amen.
One of my favorites, man. How, if you were to give a little bit of that story, because first of all, let me just say, and you guys just completed like 100 episodes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, man. Like that's absolutely crazy. First of all, just to say, like I said, you guys are just great chemistry together. If you were to give a little bit of that story as far as how, you guys kind of hooked up and decided, hey, man, let's just kind of do this thing together.
It was very just matter of fact moment in the moment. I was like, okay, let me start from the beginning. Nick has been on YouTube for a very long time, but he didn't do it regularly up until a few years ago. You could call him a pandemic channel, if you will, but he had videos that he put on YouTube when he was very, very little. So 2009-ish, like he had little Halloween video collections, and I always thought he was a cute little kid. And I had been in touch. I had reached out to him and talked to him and stayed in touch with him over the years. And he got back into YouTube. He was like, I'm going to finally dedicate my time to do this. Like I've blah, blah, blah. And he has. And so I was just talking one day and I was realizing with YouTube, I feel like there are two attention spans on YouTube. There are under 10-minute videos, and then there's 3-hour videos attention span.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what? I need to figure out something. At the time, I just had a real phobia of going live. I would do it every now and again, but it was always very anxiety inducing. Now I've gotten over that, but I was like, let me do a podcast, and I always saw Nick as like the little brother, which not necessarily something to prove, but that's just the only way I feel. Because Nick is more. I'm very passive.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll have a strong opinion on something, but if we're
Mm-hmm.
live, and I'll approach it very middle of the road to get the dialogue going, right?
Right.
And Nick is like a little bit more brazen. It's this,
Mm-hmm.
blah blah blah, blah blah blah, but it's this. This is how it is, and that's how he is.
Mm-hmm.
So we're different. We're not the same. We're very different.
Right.
Sometimes we'll have completely opposite opinions on a movie, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we'll die for a movie. Like we both love Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Very
Mm-hmm.
hated film, but we both, that's our generation,
Yep.
I'm
That's right.
I'm 3 or 4 years older than him, but like we saw that movie in the theater, we fell in
Mm-hmm.
love with it. That was our movie. But then there's other movies where we're complete polar opposites, but I'm more of the how does the movie make you feel kind of guy. And Nick
Mm-hmm.
is this was written well, this was not written well, but I'm just like, screw that. How did it make you feel? So we approach stuff differently. So
Right.
you're getting two totally different kind of mindsets and approaches on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it just worked out, and we're good friends, and he's very dedicated. He never lets me go a week or so without being like, okay, what's the next episode? When are we recording? Let's do it. Like he's got to go on
Mm-hmm.
vacation. He's like, we just recorded a Jaws show last night. He's like, all right, we got to record something. We got to record something in the next 2 or 3 days, figure out what we're going to do because I got to go on vacation. That way we can have an
Mm-hmm.
episode out. So it just worked out. He's a good kid. And, he works hard.
Yeah.
Especially for something that's on my channel. It's very selfless of him to be able to be like,
Mm.
I'm going to be there and we're going to make the show good. And
Yeah.
so that's how it happened. So I just asked him, I was like, hey, I want to do this podcast. I think you're the kind of person I need to balance me. He's like, let's do it. So we
Mm.
got started within the week, and we have not stopped for 2 years now.
Wow, man. That's tough to do, man. It really is, because obviously you've got your channel and Nick's got his, and you guys have been able to kind of keep that consistency for 2 years. It's very, very difficult to do,
It is.
man.
You don't see it. You
Mm.
really don't see it that often. Not at that.
Mm.
Not at that rate. Usually an
Yeah.
episode a week. So
Yeah.
we make it work. I don't know. It's your guess is as good as mine, but somehow it's
Mm.
just keeps going.
Yeah. Well, and at the end of the day, like you said, you guys balance each other out. You guys have fun with each other. The chat has fun, and it's got to be fun. You got to have a passion for it. It's got to be fun, or else you're just going to like have zero energy to do it, week in and week out. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
Again, rebranding the channel, allowing myself to not feel like I have to watch or have to do this makes it more relaxing, and I'm ready to go in. Like if I can watch or do a review on something else and Nick's like, hey, let's revisit that Elm Street remake and do an episode on that. People's reactions are going to be blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if I can go watch Hard Target like the day before and chill out and get, then I'm more ready. But if I had to, let's say I needed to do a video on I Spit on Your Grave or something, because
Mhm.
I'm planning stuff out and I'm just like horror. By the time I get to Elm
Right.
Street remake, I'm just melting in my couch. So again, the rebranding really kind of made me keep it going too. Because when I said I was going to stop, I was
Mhm.
going to stop. I mean, everything.
Wow.
No more horror. So that played a big part too. It was,
Yeah, man.
yeah. It all worked out. It just all worked out.
It did, man. I mean, like I said, I'm just so glad that it did. And like I said, that part of it, I did not know the severity. I mean, that right there, that along with your wisdom about having the freedom, I might have to make those clips in and of itself, because that is like serious gold for any of us that are content creators, to know that, hey, you can get right up to that edge of the cliff, and then if you just look at yourself in the mirror, you make those choices, those decisions, be true to yourself. Like you said, your wife was saying to you, don't ask for permission, do what you want to do.
Right.
That not only can you make that choice, but you can come back and be stronger and better, and obviously a hell of a lot more happy with what you do. And that's awesome to see, man. It really is. And I like I said, I have a lot of friends, a lot of them are in the chat right now that are content creators, and some of them have only been doing it for a year, a couple years, whatever. I mean, this is actual gold in our conversation right now, like true inspiration. So anyways, man, thank you so much for that. Seriously. Yeah.
My pleasure. My
Yeah.
pleasure.
Danielle saying CHH does have a Morgan Freeman level hypnotic voice, so that's a bonus, but you are no MF.
No. I'm not as
I love that. Sunrise coming in with a super chat. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate you saying not much, but just a bit to help keep NWZ in biz. Man,
Hell
thank you
yeah,
so
brother.
much, man. You know, it helps to keep the lights on, but we appreciate everything that you guys do. Watching, hitting the like button, asking questions, just being a part of this fantastic community. You guys are just so freaking cool. And Val thanking for the super chat. You guys are all right, man. Carrie, what's going on? Carrie's in the house. Carrie, one of our good friends, also a content creator, along with several of these folks in here, you know, that are newer to this thing. Like you guys, definitely, Carrie, if you just came in, you're gonna have to check out the replay from the beginning because Christian was dropping some serious knowledge. Daniel saying absolutists aren't my kind of YouTuber. There you go.
Absolutely.
There you go. I hear you. I like it. She says, except when it comes to Stu, he's 100% alive.
I don't know, Knight. You remember how heavy them damn CRTs were back in the day, man?
Bro, those TVs were heavy as hell. It felt
Knock
like
your
you
ass
had
out.
like you had weights in that thing, man. I'm telling you.
I'd rather take my chances with the stabbing than the CRT on the head. Are you kidding me?
Right. Exactly. Let me ask you something, because I know, and we got a lot of folks in here, huge Scream fans. I mean, I'm a Scream fan too. I think it's a really great franchise. Do you think that they're gonna bring back Matthew Lillard as Stu for 7? If you were to guess, I know we don't know, and
right,
you know, how could we? But if you were to guess.
I have two frame of minds on this, split right down the middle. One of them says, do it, just figure it out for the fans. Because even though I'll tell you this real quick, Knight. I went to Texas Frightmare a couple years ago, and they had Nev and Lillard and stuff. Scream is the new Halloween.
Oh, hell yeah.
1,000%. And it was kids. I mean, these girls are 15, 16. They weren't alive when the originals came out. They weren't even alive, but they found these movies. It is 100% the new Halloween.
Yeah.
You know, so it's the biggest, to me, it's the biggest horror franchise in the world right now, without question.
Oh, yeah.
But I think there's two parts of my brain. One part says, just do it for the fans. They want it so bad. They don't care if it's not going to be a surprise. I wouldn't even hide it. I would go totally trauma video with this. I would promote that Stu is going to be in this damn movie just to get people, because they're going to want. But then there's the other part of me that says, at this point, it's way too obvious.
Yeah.
So I'm battling with that. Now you have to wonder where are they going to go with that. Not to mention Lillard has already been like, well, Lillard's kind of made jokes about it, like, no, I'll drop a TV on my head. I'll tell you guys I'm not dead. I don't know, but it's weird. It's a really weird situation, because it's like at a certain point, it's like, is it too obvious at this point, or does that not matter? Does the nostalgia of people wanting it and a thank you going to trump that? Or I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. It's a good question. I truly think it's 50-50 at this point. I really do.
Yeah. I think you're right, man. I think it could definitely work, and you're going to have so many people that are going to be so excited. It is going to be exciting, you know, just to see if they could pull it off. You know what I'm saying? And then you're going to have those folks that are like, this makes absolutely no freaking sense, but they're going to want to watch the car wreck, the possible car wreck. You get what I'm saying? So I think it's basically, the layup is right there for them to do it. But Matthew Lillard, he is such a freaking cool guy, man. When I went to Monster Mania, dude, the line for him was ridiculous. Like, it was crazy. It had to have been at least a room full of at least like 200-300 people. It was crazy. And he was like, it was almost like he was an MC, commanding the crowd, saying hi to people, giving high fives. And, you know, he was really gracious too, man, because he was telling people with little babies that they could come, you know, to the front of the line for autographs and stuff like that. Very cool dude, very charismatic.
And he's got the crossover because he's got the Scooby Doo audience too.
Right,
You know,
right,
so
right.
yeah, he's got a massive fan base.
He does, man. I mean, all I know is this. You're right. It's the biggest thing going right now. The fan base is it's absolutely crazy. If they bring him back and they do promote it, if it's put out there,
They
7
wouldn't,
could
but I
be.
think they should.
They should, because here's the thing, man.
Screw it, man.
People,
Like,
people are going to pick it apart. All the YouTubers, we're all going to be in this big bubble of people speculating in this and that. They should promote it and just say, hey, he's back. And I tell you, man, that movie is going to make a lot of freaking money. It really,
I-
really is.
I agree. I think it
Yeah.
is. I mean, considering 6 did well, which I was shocked by. I was like, okay, I know the story. They come
Mhm.
back with a big one, boom. Halloween Kills doesn't make as much money. Halloween
Mhm.
Ends is going to make less. Granted, they shove them on Peacock as well, but
Right.
I'm thinking it's going to be the same thing. I'm like, good God, Scream 6 did more than Scream 5. Like, what the hell is
Yeah.
going on?
Right.
What is this?
Yeah.
I know
Man,
that Jenna was a bigger star as well. Maybe that
Mhm.
factors into it, but
Yeah. Yeah. No
I
doubt.
don't know, man.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff, man. Jason, what's going on, man? Saying excited to be here. Good evening, night, and Planet CHH. Thanks for joining us. Absolutely, man. Yeah. Danielle said, "Don't matter. Give the fans what we want." That's right.
I understand.
That's right. Exactly. Dice saying, I had the chance to meet Matthew Lillard, and I got the Shaggy autograph from him. I hadn't seen Scream yet at the time. There you go.
You did the right thing, Dice. You did the right thing.
He is. Yeah, right. He is. Now, let's take a little bit of a detour.
Sure.
Because I wanted to. Well, it's not a huge detour, but I'm just saying that. I'm just ranting. But getting into physical media, and obviously you're a huge proponent of physical media. Number one, and I know some of these folks in the live chat, they're huge into physical media. I love physical media. It's one of those things I've always been, big into, like you said, back in the day, going to Sam Goody or FYE. I'd go to those places, or Best Buy, Walmart, and it's always like, okay, what am I going to get now? And it's almost like a given that I'm going to get something. For those who maybe are just starting their journey into physical media, number one, is there any advice you would give them, or any tips as far as where they might be best to look for physical media? Because nowadays, and I don't know how it is down there with you, but man, you go into a Walmart or a Best Buy, and it's like a friggin' graveyard in those places nowadays, compared to what it was a couple years ago. I mean, you can't find much of anything, so you got to do stuff online, whether it's Vinegar Syndrome or Arrow or whatever. But if you were to give some advice for someone that wants to get more into physical media and how they could do that, what would you say to that person?
So it's interesting because with Best Buy, I'm very fortunate. Mine still does pretty good on physical media in terms of new releases too. But I
Mhm.
do know that some people have shown me, they're like, dude, it's gone. It's gone.
Mhm.
Obviously in 2023, the internet is your best friend.
Yes.
But you got to figure out why. I guess you really want, you got to figure out what it is about physical media that you want to collect for that purpose. Are you
Mhm.
really into behind the scenes special feature stuff? Are you really into the absolution? Because to me, there's 3 guarantees in life, not 2: death, taxes, and physical media. Nobody's going to come and take your copy of The Simpsons because there's a Michael Jackson episode that Disney got rid of or whatever. Which that's another thing that happens, man. You
Yeah.
can't trust you. Let me answer the question first, then I'll get into my complaints about streaming. But figure out what it is that's important to you. The problem is this too. Picture quality is not an issue until you become aware of picture quality. Now, what I mean by that is most people in today's world, DVD is fine. It's still the
Mhm.
most popular selling format. It still is. But what happens is when you start to really focus on this stuff, and then you get a
Mhm.
bigger TV, and you get that 4K TV, and you get that 4K player, and you start noticing picture quality. You start noticing the difference from higher quality scans. You start noticing when they get the original camera negative. Then you
Yeah,
become
yeah.
it's a sickness. You kind of become obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with picture quality. And I love seeing film in its native state, which is 4K. 35 millimeter, that's its native state. You know, everything before under that is compressed. It just is. And being able to see Casino, for instance, on 4K might have been the first title I got on 4K. I was like, good God, this looks 3D. It looks so good. But you're seeing it. You're seeing like every bit of data that is on that 35 millimeter film. You're seeing it in its natural state, and it's incredible looking, and it feels so good. And that's another thing. It's like with collecting physical media, I highly say the best thing to do is if you're a fan of classic cinema, basically stuff that was shot on film. Because I don't know a lot. I know a little about a lot of stuff. I don't know a lot about a little, but I've done a lot of research, and digital film is getting close. It's getting very close, but 35 millimeter film is still the best picture quality, in my opinion, on planet Earth. So much so that a lot of people, Tarantino, he shoots on 60, but a lot of filmmakers, if they've got the resources to do it, because it's expensive, they'll shoot on film, because film is a native 4K image, and it's incredible. So, but there's another thing too with collecting physical media. Obviously, the best place to get your deals 9 out of 10 times is Amazon. Figuring out what kind of movies you like too, you'll cater yourself to a certain label. If you like a lot of film noir, or if you like a lot of stuff from cult directors, that a lot of really good movies that bombed, Criterion puts out a lot of those.
That's true, man.
You know, for horror, Scream Factory, especially if you're the kind of horror person that's, you know, into the classic 80s stuff, Scream Factory is going to have a lot of that stuff. And a lot of their stuff is now being reissued on 4K, which kind of is a bummer for somebody that's been a dedicated consumer from them for a long time. But you got to figure out what it is that's important to you. Is picture quality important? Is special features important? Is not feeling not feeling like you have to submit to streaming services and or buying something digitally, because that is a lie. You're not buying anything digitally. You're paying for permission to watch this film. But guess what? When Vudu shut down, half of its library disappeared, and all these people that paid for, I don't know, 21 Jump Street 2, when it disappeared off of their site, they're SOL.
Right.
You don't own something digitally.
Right.
It's in a cloud. So I don't know. I think I've kind of answered it. I was all over the place, but you know.
No, you definitely answered it, man. And I think that again, for a lot of people, because I know a lot of people are in this situation, as far as trying to figure out, you know, do I want to go the physical media route, or continue it, I should say, or do I just want to just give in to streaming? You know, because it's almost like, you know, you're being attacked, you know, with streaming, because for some of us, and I'm speaking for myself specifically, but I do know a lot of people have said this, you don't have access to as much physical media as we used to, you know, and man, I'm glad that you still have, you know, your Best Buy, because my Best Buy is like, geez, it's just ridiculous. It's like a third, if that, of what it used to be.
I'm convinced though that the market it's niche, but it's still. Let me give you an example, Knight. The Thing came out on 4K 2 years ago.
Yep.
The pre-orders on the Steelbook. I see you got a poster behind you. The pre-order on that Steelbook was so intense, it never even made it to stores.
Oh man, I didn't even know that.
It never, because I had a buddy that works at a Best Buy. I asked him about that. He's like, no, we just got the slipcover version. So we never even got the Steelbook. The demand on the pre-order was so high, it sucked up, I think, 95 to 98% of the stock of it before we even was on release date. So, and Best Buy is smart because they've got to deal with a lot of these companies, I believe, especially with Lionsgate and Warner Brothers. Best Buy has cornered a collector's market. It's a collector's market nowadays, 100%, especially for higher quality physical media. Best Buy is really good at getting steelbooks exclusive to their store, which you can pre-order online. And like, for instance, Vacation, they did this beautiful steelbook exclusive to Best Buy, and it's the poster art of Chevy with the snakes, and they're in the desert by the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
So I had to pre-order that from Best Buy. I wasn't going to wait to try to, luck out and see if it happened to show up at a store. The market's still there. It's online. It's niche, but it's rabid. So, I mean, you got to look. Take a second and look. When people say physical media is dying, they're not necessarily wrong. But how many boutique labels are around? Vinegar Syndrome, Arrow Video, Stevrin, Synapse, Scream Factory.
It's true, man.
There's more I can think of. Cauldron Films, Cauldron Films just came out like a year ago. That's 6 I could just think of, and they're thriving. They're thriving.
They are.
So it's an interesting time. It's the best time as a physical media collector, because let me tell you, if for some reason there's this really shitty movie you love that came out in 1989, Vinegar Syndrome probably restored it in 4K and put the nicest slipcover you could possibly imagine on it.
You are so
right. I respect Vinegar Syndrome because, I'm not their biggest customer. I have about 25, 30 titles from them. But what they're doing, there's a lot of movies, Night, that will become lost forever. It's just the truth. And what Vinegar Syndrome's doing is preserving cinema forever. So this is the best time ever. Whatever you're into, somebody's putting out collector's versions of this stuff. So getting into physical media right now is the best time ever to do it. So many options and the highest quality stuff you could imagine.
Yeah, no, that's
restorations and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I love the way you said that, because it is truly preserving it, man, because there's so many great titles out there, and for some of us, like, me, obviously I'm a little bit older, growing up in the 80s and the 90s, man, there were so many of these little rinky-dink movies that can get lost, just lost in time. When we were at the con, they had a Vinegar Syndrome table. They had tons of shit that was awesome. I was like, oh my God, I remember this movie back from like 1987 or whatever, just awesome stuff. And it looks great, and it's restored. So I think you're absolutely right. Looking at it that way is that, some of these boutique labels, they are truly keeping, these little titles, some of these little titles alive, for people to discover. And I think that's a great thing, man.
And there's still more work to be done. And the weird thing is, there are movies that are completely lost in legal limbo. There's a movie that the horror fans literally are dying for. It's called Blood Beach.
Yes.
And they want it. And there's some kind of legal issue going on. But this company owned it, but it really wasn't a company, because that was the only movie they made. And then that company got absorbed when this company bought this, but then that company is now split into X, Y, and Z. Like, a lot of legal limbo. And sometimes it costs, it costs money to go to court. And sometimes it's better just not to deal with this stuff. And Blood Beach, you can watch it. It's on YouTube. But the fans want to see this thing in 185:1 or 235, whatever the aspect ratio. They want to see it restored. They want to see it proper. They want to see it the way the directors did not intend for their movies to be shot in 4:3 and seen it in a zoomed in box on TVs like VHSs were. They want you to see their movies in widescreen.
Yeah.
John Carpenter didn't shoot Halloween in Panavision for you to watch it in 4:3 zoomed in, where you're missing half the frame. Sometimes that's another thing people didn't realize back in the day when they were watching a movie on VHS like Blade Runner. You're seeing a section of the image because it's got to be zoomed in to fill up the screen.
That's right.
That's not the way these people want you to see these movies. So people want to see Blood Beach the way it was shot in native widescreen. So there's still a lot of work to be. There's still a lot of and there's a lot of movies like that, and some movies are still lost on like VHS. That's the only time they ever got released. So there's still a lot of work to be done, and hopefully, as time goes on, we're getting there. Synapse went through a legal issue for years with a movie called The Kindred
Oh, I remember that movie. Yeah.
It's a great little creature feature.
Yeah, it is.
And they finally, after 6 or 7 years of legal battles, finally just got it released a year or so ago. And they did a beautiful job. It looks gorgeous.
Nice.
So there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, man. Amen to that, man. Amen. My good friend, my brother Steven from Craving Something Scary in the house and jumping in to say hello. We'll catch the replay for sure. Thanks so much, man. I hope you're doing good, Steven. You absolutely rock, brother. Slasher in Suits saying Christian is a great guest, a horror movie savant.
I'm not.
There you go. I
Thank
love
you.
that.
Thank
That
you.
is awesome. Let's see. Sunrise saying, oh, can't send a super chat. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what happened there.
Go to
Maybe
your
you
starred
got.
section.
Yeah. Okay. We do have. Oh, we do have one that's come in. Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you hit the replay, sometimes or God, what do you call it? Dang, I can't even speak right. You got to redo your page, like resituate your page. Sometimes that helps. Sir James coming in with a super chat, man. Thank you so much. $20 super chat. Wow. Thank you, brother. Seriously. Saying, love that you're educating the audience on 35 millimeter. It's the best, hands down. 70 in aspect ratios. I've bought Laserdisc in the 90s and DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K. Nice, man.
Hell yeah.
Nice. Very cool, man. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. And definitely Christian knows his stuff when we're talking about physical media, man. Sir James coming in again with another super chat. Thank you so much, man. Saying Apple TV 4K is the best for streaming, hands down, and you own it and will upgrade to 1080p to 4K for free. I work for Disney Fox working on 35 millimeter restrictions.
Incredible.
Wow. That is awesome, man. Seriously. Thank you so much, James. We really appreciate it, man. Seriously. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. RMJ saying, Christian, have you ever been interested in acting or directing film?
Acting for sure. But I live in Louisiana. How am I going to get the opportunity? You know, the only thing I can hope is maybe one day I can have a channel that can garner an opportunity, if you know what I mean.
Right.
That, you know, but sure, acting for sure.
Nice. Nice. Very, very cool. Dice says nearly 500 pieces of horror physical media personally. Nice.
Damn. Hell yeah.
That's very, very cool. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that are big into physical media. And that's very awesome to see, man. Coriander, what's up, babe? Saying hello, all you Nightwatch fam. She's too awesome, man. Terry's in the house. What's going on, Terry? Good to see you too. And if you guys have any other questions you want to throw at Christian, throw them in right now. We're almost up to the hour point. I want to make sure I'm respectful of his time. He's got a lot of stuff going on, and so we're only going to be going for a few more minutes. But if you do have a question you want to throw out there, let us know. Dice saying, I recently got my hands on Don't Panic from 1987, Vinegar Syndrome. It took me multiple times to get it at a decent price on eBay. Ooh, yeah, eBay. Sometimes
crazy
eBay works.
Movie.
It is a crazy one. It really, really is. Let's see. And I think I got everyone here. Oh, Dice was saying there are horror movies that never made it past VHS. If I get my hands on a copy, I'm sure it's burned onto a disc. Archival approach.
There you go.
Good point. Good point. You got to keep it. You got to keep it. Let's see. What's up, Zoe? Good to see you. What's going on, brother? Hope you're doing well. Saying it's a crime Barbarian isn't on 4K Blu-ray. Barbarian was a crazy ass movie, man. It was a crazy ass. I did too, man. We went to the Coriander and me. We went to the theater, and when the stuff went down, it was kind of like, what the hell is going on? There were people in the audience gasping, like making audible sounds, gasping and oohing and ahhing. It was a great experience because I had no clue.
For me, it was a pleasure. I'm a really big Charles Band fan. So I felt like this was my era, or I felt like this was like my adult version of Castle Freak.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's one of my favorites. So
yep,
I was all about it. I was like, that was so anti-Hollywood to go in that direction. You know what I mean? And I fucking ate it up. I ate it up.
It was so cool just to see it go down that path, man, because they really set you up one way and then they go the other. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Wiggs, what's up? Yes, refresh. That's the word I was looking for. Thanks, Wiggs. Appreciate you. Corey Anderson, hey, Knight and Christian.
And
What's going on? What's going on? Let's see. And I think I'm about caught up here. Now, before we get going, and Val, thank you for putting Christian's link in the chat again. We appreciate that. And Sir James comes in too. $2 super chat, and Criterion needs to do Halloween 4K and RoboCop 4K. RoboCop. Oh man.
Well,
I love RoboCop.
Yeah, so Criterion used to be the boutique company, and I think what he's referencing is Criterion did I have these too. Criterion did a Halloween for Laserdisc release in 1994 or 95. I have it. It's beautiful. And it looked incredible, and it had mono audio on it, which is something a lot of people still prefer because it's more robust. And they also did a Criterion RoboCop DVD and Laserdisc, and still incredible. So Arrow has RoboCop now, and they did a 4K release of that. And of course, Scream Factory did their 4K release of Halloween as well. But during that time in the 90s, Criterion, they put out, I say this respectfully, but like during that time, Criterion put out movies people heard of.
Right. Yes, it's true.
Now it's David Lynch movies that actually I love David Lynch and a bunch of other stuff. Good titles, not bad titles, but I'm saying like they put out a lot more mainstream-esque titles back in the day. Yep.
It's true. It's very, very true. Thank you, Sir James, man. We appreciate you. Coriander letting all the dirty laundry out, saying I had to put my VHS tapes in the closet stacked up, right? It's true, man. I still got some VHS tapes, man. Yeah, I do. Now, one thing I want to throw out to you real quick, Christian, and I thought we were going to get to this, but this has been great.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, obviously, you're a huge Elm Street fan. You absolutely have you've talked about it. Elm Street 2. I loved your theory on the whole idea of Elm Street 2's Freddy being different, than the other versions of him and so forth. I was like, man, I like that. That was just like that was like a hot take that really made sense, and I was digging. Number one, any particular hopes and dreams for the return of Elm Street? And is there anyone that you would like to see attached to the film, whether it being portraying Freddy or directing or anything?
It depends on what day you catch me.
Okay.
And the truth is, today, my answer is I have enough. I'm happy enough. Let's move on. That's my answer today.
Okay.
That's the truth.
Very cool. Yeah,
That's
man.
the truth.
I know exactly what you mean, because for me, I grew up with, Freddy, Michael, and Jason. That's what I grew up with, and I'm a huge Friday the 13th fan. And I know exactly what you mean, because there's that part of me that feels like sometimes we did it. We made our mark. It's cemented. These are icons. No one can ever take that away.
Never.
It's crazy, especially and I lived during that time. Like it was pop culture awesomeness. So there's that part of me sometimes that feels like let's move on. Let's inspire newer icons, newer stories, and so forth. But like you said, then there's that other part of me is like, but what if we can get another really cool movie or a new take, or maybe a thread that was left unanswered and so forth. So I get what you mean, man. I really, really do. Yeah. But the truth of it is that we know it's going to come back.
and that's fine. And I'll cross that bridge when I get there. I had an idea, and who am I? Who cares if I have an idea? But I had this idea. What if, because I love Robert. He's one of my favorite. I think he's one of the greatest character actors ever. Good director too. He did that 976 Evil movie I love.
Yeah, man. That's a oldie but goodie.
I had an idea. What if they made a movie about Robert Englund as Freddy, and he got arrested for the crimes he did, but the parents didn't kill him. They signed the search warrant. He went to jail. What if they let him out as an old man, a la his age now, and he goes back to committing crimes? Then the parents kill him. So you've got this movie where Freddy dies as an old man and is an old man. So then Robert could somehow be this Freddy. No, you're changing history here.
Right,
But
right,
if they can do it with Halloween, I say they. I mean, a lot of people, they
right,
kind of
right.
did. They're not brother and sister, big whoop. But I had that idea in my head. I was like, wouldn't that be something? But I they did a remake already in 2010,
Hmm.
and I just felt like the movie felt Jackie Earle Haley. I don't think anybody says he can't act. I mean,
Oh
Jackie Earle
yeah,
Haley is a class actor.
he is. He truly is.
I just think the movie felt and the funny thing is, like, the one thing about that movie I thought when I saw it in the theater, I almost was like taken aback, like, oh my God, this is gonna be crazy. They were gonna make him innocent. And I feel
Hmm.
like they were doing that, and for some reason they just were like, nah, never
They
mind.
backtracked. Yeah.
And I felt like that could have carried some weight to it.
Hmm.
But that's why I say I'm thinking to myself, what do you do now? You
Yeah.
know, I
Hmm.
I just don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I want I never you're never gonna make these characters leave pop culture. It's clear. Every year you
Hmm.
go to Spirit Halloween, there's a Nightmare on Elm Street section, there's a Friday the 13th section, there's a Halloween section.
Hmm.
Um, I just I don't know how I feel. I really don't.
Hmm.
It's
No, I
not
definitely know what
it's
you mean.
not, it's I like I said, you have to catch me on a certain day.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'll say, "Oh, they can do another one," but I don't wanna know who the actor is.
Yeah.
I
No.
don't
No.
that way I have no backstory on this guy. I don't wanna
Right.
trust it. I don't wanna trust this guy.
Good
People will
point.
say, "Oh, Kevin Bacon said he would be." What that really means is, like, in a passing interview, somebody was like, "Are you a Freddy fan? Would you play Freddy?" And Kevin was like, "Oh, sure, I'd play Freddy." And then headline after headline after headline after headline, "Kevin Bacon wants to play Freddy Krueger." You
Right.
know, I trust Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
I trust him. I don't want him to play Freddy. I want
Right.
some mean son of a bitch. I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
If they do it, but honestly, Night, sometimes all I need to do is just sit at the house and watch Nightmare 2 and I'm good.
Right.
I'm happy. I've got a
Right.
wall of stuff back there that it's my life.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and the same thing with Halloween. They made all those new ones. They made a ton of money. Good for them. But guess what?
Hmm.
That's not what I'm watching this Halloween season.
Right.
I'm watching part 3. I'm watching part 2.
Hmm.
You know?
Yep. I'm gonna be
That's
watching
just
1 and
me.
2 as a double feature, man. That's
There
what
you
I'm gonna be
go.
watching.
And
Yep.
you can't compete with time. I don't care
Mm.
how good the movie is. You cannot compete with time.
Mm.
Why do you think there's still more fans of probably like Jason Takes Manhattan over the remake? It doesn't
Right.
matter that the movie's silly and it's nonsensical.
Right.
30 plus years of memories for people.
Yeah.
You
Good point.
cannot compete with time.
I love that. You're right. It's true, man. You have these memories, man. I was just talking about part 3 in a video, Friday 3, and it's because of the time, bro. It's about the memories. When I think of that movie, I love the movie. It's a good movie.
Hell yeah.
It's not it's not the best in the series, but for me,
That's your
it's
favorite?
special. Well, it's one of my favorites, but part of the reason is because I think of my family. I think about when I let my brother watch it with me and the
Mhm.
fun we had and the camaraderie, because he was like, "Oh, my older brother's letting me watch Friday 13th." So when I think of the movie, but I also think of that awesome memory. So, like, kind of like piggybacking what you just said, you can't compete with time. You can't compete with memories, personal memories that you have. Just like for some people, like you with Nightmare 2, that's always going to be so amazingly special to you.
Every time I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, my first horror movie was the first Friday the 13th. So every time I watch it and I see that friggin' stinger at the end with Alice, I just say, "Ah, that was my moment."
That was it.
As a kid, I got over my fear of horror movies, and that's what got me going. So you're so right, man. You cannot compete with time. It's just inevitable. I really love that, man. I might have to start using that, because that's a great way to word it, and I think it's a great way to illustrate it to people who do have that question in them. Well, let's do another one, and can it be as good? It's like, you can't compete with time, bro. You got
You can't do it.
30 years, 40 years. Halloween is 45 years. It's like, it's crazy. It's just crazy, man. I
Yeah.
love that.
How do you compete with that?
You can't. You really
Can't do it.
can't. Love it. Love it,
Can't
man.
do it.
Jamie saying, I feel the same way about Halloween. I'm okay that it ended. I've had
It's not
enough.
over.
And I'm full. Yeah, I keep telling Jamie, you know what? When they come up with some new news for the next Halloween movie, I'm gonna have Jamie on here, and we're gonna be like, so Jamie, guess what? There's a new Halloween.
You need to screenshot that and just have that as the background the whole time you're.
It's so true.
You know?
Oh my god. No, but Jamie, I hear you. I hear you, man. I hear you. So James coming in. Thank you, man. Thank you for the support so much tonight, man. You rock. Saying my first time seeing Robert Englund was in V and Nightmare. Yeah, V, man. That was the first time I saw him too. I loved V. That was
I never saw much of that.
Really?
No.
Oh man. I mean, if you're into sci-fi, and it was kind of campy. I mean, it was back in '84, right? But they had V the miniseries, which was like a 3-night event on NBC. Each night, I think it was like an hour or so, whatever. And then it did so well that they did V the Final Battle, and it was kind of like a TV movie split up. I think it was maybe 2 nights, maybe 3 nights, and then they did a season of a show that carried on the story for about a season. But V the miniseries and V the Final Battle, I loved that shit, man. I remember as a kid, I would not do anything else. I'd make sure we'd get home in time so I could watch it, and I've got it on physical media. It's really, really fun.
Incredible.
And Robert was in that. So when I first saw him as Freddy, I was like, holy shit, he was in V, you know? So it's really cool, man. Let's see. Backtrack Cinema. What's up, Jason? Good to see you, man. Saying, hey, everyone.
Hey,
good to see you. Hope you're doing good, man. He says, Jason Lives was my first horror movie. That's right, man. Saying it's a special movie. That's right.
That's my second favorite horror franchise in the world. It's Friday the 13th.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, man. I love Friday the 13th, man. Every year I just pick a whole bunch of them and I just watch them. It just never gets old for me.
I like how on your Piz interview, you had the 3 Juggernaut posters behind you. And even though Elm Street's my number 1, I don't think anybody can sit here, look me in the eye, and say that the Friday the 13th poster is not the best out of those 3.
It's so cool.
It is
Isn't
incredible.
It is
incredible work of art.
It is. It is. I love it, man.
Incredible.
I love it. No doubt. No doubt. Jason saying, personally, in my humble opinion, I'm done with Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Halloween franchises. They have gone on too long. I want more new standalone films. Well, you're going to get those standalone films, Jason, and you're also going to get some more Halloween, Nightmare, and Friday.
You got to wonder, too, do you think people felt that way during the Hammer era, where Christopher Lee was just pounding out Horror of Dracula, Curse of Dracula, Dracula AD 72? Like, I wonder if people felt the same way then, because
could be
they were spitting them out.
Yeah, they were, man. Well, I think there's cycles. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you look at Hammer horror, you look at the old school, sci-fi monster flicks of the 50s and 60s, like The Thing from Another World. You look back at the Universal monsters in the 40s, the late 30s and 40s and 50s, and of course we had in the 80s Michael, Freddy, and Jason, and then the Scream era and the duplicates of the Scream style. And so I think it's always going to be these cycles, man. But you're probably right. They got to a point where it froze up, just like with Michael, Freddy, and Jason. Once we got to like Freddy's Dead in '91, that's when it was kind of like, okay, I think we're kind of at the end of the road here for a little while. I mean, we kind of done all we need to do, and the money, the box office obviously was drying up for those franchises, and it's just interesting to see those cycles. But there's no doubt they're gonna be back, and it is what it is. But like you said, we always will have the originals, and you can't compete with time. You just can't.
Nope.
Jason, I agree, man. The original Friday the 13th poster is amazing. And he says Psycho 2 is probably my favorite horror poster. Dude, we just watched Psycho 2 the other night for Watch Party on my buddy Steven's channel. That's such an underrated sequel, man. I mean, Anthony Perkins. Wow.
It's brilliant. And Tom Holland, who I love Tom Holland. He's one of my favorite people in directing, writing. It's brilliant. It's the reverse. He's the good guy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
brilliant.
It is. It is.
You
You
know?
sympathize with him, you know? And what a way to do that with this quote unquote horror character. And Anthony Perkins was amazing in his performance. Just these little nuances to what he did with his eyes, with his mannerisms, with his speech.
Yeah.
Perfect stuff.
A lot of people say that that's their favorite one. You
Yeah.
know?
I've heard that too. Some people saying they prefer it over, Hitchcock's, which I don't have an issue with saying that. It's fun. It's a really fun sequel, and it's very smart. Very, very smart.
That it
Yeah,
is.
Dice. It is quite fun. All right, guys. Well, look, we've had Christian on here for a while. This has been absolutely fantastic getting all these little nuggets, and I think that it's been a lot of great stuff, not only for us as content creators, but for anyone that is looking to maybe do a channel, how to navigate the ups and downs of YouTube, because there's so many. And so number one, brother, thank you so much for being here and taking the time to hang out for a few minutes with us. It really, really means a lot. And I'm telling you, man, there was some really good stuff in here. So that was awesome.
It's my pleasure. Congrats on your channel. You've got a lot of success. And like I said, it's great. I feel like I'm in great company. You just had Piz and Leon. So I'm
Yeah.
honored. I really am. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. No, and I'm going to be honest, and I haven't even said this to Piz or Lee, but when I reached out to you guys, number one, I didn't even know if you guys would have had the time to do it, because all of you guys are super busy and you got your own stuff going on. But once I started getting all of you guys saying, yeah, I'll do it. And I was thinking, man, this is awesome, because, you guys, I've watched you guys for a long time, and it was also kind of cool in the sense that each of you guys kind of lean a little bit more to one of the big three. And I was like, this is almost perfect, man.
So, yeah, you save the best for last. That's for sure.
There you go, man. Seriously. No, man, but seriously, this has been so much fun. And like I said, I always love hearing you say it like you mean it, talking, giving to people straight. And that's why, you're so successful. And I hope that we can get a chance to do this at some point down the road again, because I had a list of questions, man. And I knew, you always know that you're not going to get through them all, but this was just great, man.
Dude,
This was
anytime.
just great.
Anytime.
Wow.
Ask me again.
All right, man. I definitely will. So guys in the chat, make sure that you subscribe to Christian's channel. Jamie, thank you for putting this link up. Leave some comments, questions, and stuff like that. Christian, I'll just have you hold on for one quick second when I do this outro. And again, guys, thank you so much. Leave some comments. Make sure you hit the like button. You guys know the routine. You know what you're supposed to do. Wayne saying he subbed to Christian from Australia. Thank you, Wayne. We appreciate the support, man. And you're not going to be disappointed. Christian is a great channel. So anyways, we will catch you guys later. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Nightwatch. Peace out, guys.